In our previous videos, when we were trying to find out the roots of a quadratic equation, we said that when we are solving quadratic equations, we are bound to get two solutions. These two solutions are what we call the roots of a quadratic equation. Now, in this video, we are going to find out how we are going to find the quadratic equation when we have been given the roots. In other words, we are working backwards. Before, we've been trying to find the roots of a quadratic equation, and we've been finding those roots by factorization. Now we've been given the roots, and we are going to be working backwards to see how we arrive back to the equation. This is Kisembo Academy, and thanks for tuning in. Let me use an illustration. If we are having one of our roots as q and one of our roots as p, as shown on your screen. When you have been given x is equal to p and x is equal to q, these are your roots. When you're working backwards, it means that you take this p back so that this is equal to 0. This q, you take it back so that x minus q is equal to 0. So it means that these are the two brackets that you dismantled before. So it becomes x minus p into x minus q is equal to 0. You go ahead and open these brackets. When you open these brackets, you end up with this expression as a result of multiplying this bracket with that bracket. When you end up with that expression and you rearrange it, you realize that you get the general expression in that x squared minus x into p plus q plus pq, whereby it is here you're having the sum of the roots, and here you're having the product of the two roots that you have been given. So the general expression for a quadratic equation is that x squared minus the sum of the roots, x plus the product of the roots. We are going to demonstrate this. But before we demonstrate it, let's look at one of the numbers we have done, and we try and follow through. If you look at this number we just did in one of our earlier videos, we've been given, if this is the root of 6 and that's the root of 1, it means that if the x is equal to 6 and x is equal to 1, it means that you're going to have to first take this back and this one back to get that step. X plus 6 and x minus 1 is equal to 0. Then these two brackets, you're going to multiply them because this times that is equal to 0. Then now, when you multiply them, you're supposed to multiply these two brackets so that you get the first expression, which is that. We are going to demonstrate this with a few examples. So let's find the quadratic equation when you've been given when the roots of that equation are 3 and -1. Now, when the roots of this quadratic equation are 3 and 1, it means that at first the value of x was 3 and also the value of x was -1. So we shift that 3 back here, and of course when it crosses the equal sign, it becomes x minus 3 is equal to 0. Likewise here, when we shift that -1 to this way, it becomes x plus 1 is equal to 0. So now we have two brackets here. So we go ahead and multiply those brackets. So this becomes x minus 3 and x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now we open those brackets, so it becomes x times x becomes x times that bracket, which is x times x plus 1, then minus 3 into that whole bracket times x plus 1 is equal to 0. So you go ahead and open the brackets. X times x is x squared. Then we have x times 1, which is plus x. Then you have -3 times x, which is minus 3x. Then you have -3 times 1, which is minus 3, giving us 0. So we shall end up with the quadratic equation, which is going to become x squared. Positive 3 minus 3x is going to give us minus 2x, then minus 3 is equal to 0. Now that is the quadratic equation. We have worked backwards. Now if you wanted, you could still factorize this expression, and you realize that your working will be working towards getting those two answers. Now, we said still, if they give you roots like 3 and -1, we can still use this expression that x squared minus the sum of roots, the product of roots, we must be able to get that same answer. If we are to evaluate it from this point, for example, let's assume that we have our roots, we've been given roots of 3 and -1. So let's substitute it direct here. It's going to be x squared minus the sum of roots. The sum of the roots is 3 plus -1. So it's minus 3 plus -1 x, then plus the product of the roots. So plus the product of the roots, which is 3 times -1. So which is 3 times -1. So you end up with x squared. Then 3 plus -1 is going to give us 2. So it's going to be minus 2x plus 3 times -1. 3 times -1 is minus 3, so it's minus 3. And you realize that x squared minus 2x minus 3, it's the same as this, x squared minus 2x minus 3. So whichever formula you use, you can use this expression, or you can decide and work backwards like the way we have done in this video. Thanks for tuning in. This brings us to the end of this video. For more of these, please remember to subscribe. For Kisembo Academy, this is Arnold Rango Kuran.